This story is from someone who went to their in-laws' house, slapped their sister-in-law, and kicked out their sister-in-law's family. What could have happened? Let's take a look together. Please like and subscribe our channel.
Hello. I'm not sure where to start. Not long ago, I had a conflict with my sister-in-law. Although my in-laws were also at fault. They are such innocent people that I couldn't say anything to them. My husband and I dated for about 3 years before getting married. We often visited both our parents before marriage. Both our parents blessed our marriage. People say they often fight during wedding preparations. But we hardly fought except for some minor disagreements. Before marriage, I lived alone. I bought a house with the money I saved and the loans I took. And it became our newlywed house after marriage. Not long after we got married, my sister-in-law announced that she was pregnant. Upon hearing the news, my in-laws hurriedly prepared for her wedding. She was a beautician, but she quit her job and started preparing for her wedding after becoming pregnant. She didn't have any savings, so my in-laws supported the wedding costs. She lived with her in-laws for about a month after marriage. She claimed that she moved out because of difficulties living with her in-laws. But later it turned out to be the opposite. She never did any housework before getting married. She would just watch TV or use her phone. The same was true when she lived with her in-laws after marriage. She would ignore her in-laws when they came home. You can imagine how she behaved after becoming pregnant. She hardly did any housework. After moving out, she began to live near our house. Since then, she practically lived at her parents' house. Both my in-laws work, but she would go to their house in the morning, eat dinner there, and then go home. Her husband would go to his parents' house after work, have dinner with them, and then take her home. My mother-in-law must have been exhausted from preparing meals for her daughter and son-in-law after work. Cleaning up the mess that my sister-in-law made all day must have been hard for her as well. Thinking that my mother-in-law must be tired, I went to my in-laws' house on weekends to help with the chores and make some side dishes. But it seems like I made a mistake. Whenever I went to my in-laws' house and started vacuuming, my sister-in-law would just sit on the sofa and lift her legs. She could have helped me hang the laundry. She acted as if she had nothing to do with such work. I tried to understand her because she was pregnant, but she was too much. At the very least, she could have helped hang the laundry while sitting down. It's not like I was asking her to do everything on her own. Isn't it natural for someone to help hang the laundry if someone else is doing it? I wonder if I'm the only one who was taught this way. The dining table at my in-laws' house was a bit small. So if we wanted to have a meal with my sister-in-law's family, we had to spread a large table in the living room. When I asked her to put some spoons on the table, she said, "Did you forget that I'm pregnant? I can't believe it." If she ran out of side dishes while eating, she should either get more herself or ask her husband to do it. But she would say to me, "Sister, didn't you see that this is all gone?" and ask me to bring more side dishes. Then my husband brought more side dishes with a stern face. My sister-in-law's husband was also unbelievable. If she gets angry at me to bring more side dishes, he should get up and get it. But he didn't seem to think so. Every time she did this, my in-laws seemed to be a bit mindful of me. But they seemed to take it for granted over time. My husband didn't seem to know at first, but later he said he was getting irritated because of my sister-in-law. Over the weekend, my sister-in-law and her husband were at my in-laws' house. My mother-in-law cooked all the meals and did all the dishes. I also work, so it's natural that I want to rest on weekends. At first, I frequently visited my in-laws' house, thinking my mother-in-law might need help, but gradually I stopped going. Once, after eating and doing the dishes at my in-laws' house, I went to the living room, and my sister-in-law gave me a fruit knife and asked me to peel fruit for her. When I told her to do it herself, she said she didn't know how to peel fruit. She got angry, saying how could I ask a pregnant woman to do work? It was so unbelievable. But what was even more unbelievable was my sister-in-law's husband. At the time, he was glaring at me. When I got home that day and told my husband that my sister-in-law's husband was glaring at me, he got angry and tried to rush to their house right away. I had to stop him. After this incident, I thought I couldn't take it anymore. So I didn't go to my in-laws' house much. I don't know if my mother-in-law can take care of my sister-in-law. So hard because she is her daughter. But I didn't want to do anything for my sister-in-law at all. If it was my younger sister behaving like that, I wouldn't have done it. When I didn't go to my in-laws' house on the weekend, my sister-in-law called me. She was angry, asking why I didn't come when I knew that her mother was struggling. I told her I didn't go because I wanted to rest on the weekend. And she responded that I should come even if it's hard. I was so angry that I almost cursed. I decided I wouldn't care whether my mother-in-law suffered or not, having raised such a rude daughter. When my sister-in-law was full-term, I found out a surprising fact. My sister-in-law's husband had been bad-mouthing me to my in-laws. He said I was a daughter-in-law who ignored her mother-in-law struggling with housework alone. Is it okay for his wife to be on bad terms with his parents? When my husband found out about this, he was so angry that he tried to go to my sister-in-law's house again, but I stopped him. I was scared that my husband might cause some incident if he went to my sister-in-law's house. My husband couldn't sleep for a few days, tossing and turning in anger, and fell asleep late. My sister-in-law gave birth and stayed in a postnatal care center for 2 weeks. Then went straight to her in-laws' house. While she was staying at her in-laws' house, she hired a postnatal care helper for about a month. This was the first time I saw someone stay in a postnatal care center for 2 weeks and hire a postnatal care helper for a month. I don't have children yet, but I have married friends and friends with 2 children. And when I told them about this, they said your sister-in-law is really strange. My mother-in-law must have been very tired. From the time my sister-in-law was pregnant to giving birth, my mother-in-law had to take care of everything. I felt that my mother-in-law was admirable. But honestly, I also found her pitiful. I couldn't understand why she kept serving such a hopeless daughter. And isn't my father-in-law the same? If his daughter comes and bothers his wife like that, he should kick her out. I tried to understand my in-laws for a moment, thinking, am I thinking this way because I hate my sister-in-law? But I felt her behavior was really not right. I thought my sister-in-law would stay at her in-laws' house for about a month after her discharge from the postnatal care center. But she stayed there even after a month. After the postnatal care helper stopped coming, my sister-in-law occasionally called me to ask me to buy something on my way home from work, or to do something when I got there. Every time she called, I said I was too busy to go. When I told my husband, he called my sister-in-law and said, if you need something, you can do it yourself. Why do you keep calling my wife? Then my sister-in-law's husband picked up the phone and said it wasn't right to say that to him. If I quote exactly what he said, it was, bro, you'll have a baby later. 2. You'll get punished. My husband was so angry that he yelled at my sister-in-law's husband, who hung up the phone with a sneaky laugh. After that incident, a big issue happened over the weekend. I woke up late at home on Saturday, and then I got a call from my sister-in-law. She asked me to come and boil ramen for her on the phone. When I asked her what she was talking about, she said her parents had gone out in the morning for a meeting. And when I asked her what her husband was doing, she said he was sleeping in. It was so ridiculous that I couldn't even speak. But my sister-in-law said, just come and boil some ramen. I can't eat because there's no side dish. You should come and prepare some side dishes. What is this? And she was getting annoyed. My husband was next to me, so I intentionally made a call on speakerphone so he could hear. My husband said let's go to my in-laws' house right away. When I asked him what he was going to do, he said he had to kick them out. So I told him he should not hit anyone and went to my in-laws' house with him. As soon as she saw us, my sister-in-law started to get annoyed again. She said, "Are you pretending not to know your in-laws after becoming a daughter-in-law?" So I asked her, "Is it okay for you to be on the bad terms with your in-laws?" She said her in-laws were bad people, so that's why. And my parents were good people, so I should be good to them. My sister-in-law's husband came out of the room, staggering as if he had just woken up from the noise. I told her that my in-laws seemed to be better people than my parents. When I asked her if it was okay for parents to be good to a hopeless daughter-in-law like her, my sister-in-law sarcastically asked if I was doing this because I didn't want to boil a bowl of ramen for her. I told my sister-in-law, "It's been a while since you gave birth. Can't you even boil ramen? What's the fault of my mother-in-law that you come here and cause trouble? Even though you're her daughter, she can take care of you even if it's hard, but I can't do it." My sister-in-law screamed, asking if I would do the same if she were my younger sister. I told her that if my sister did something this stupid, she would have been slapped first. Then she screamed again, asking what stupid thing she did. I told her that misunderstanding pregnancy as a privilege and making her own mother sick is something someone with low intelligence would do. She yelled back, asking how I could say such a thing in front of her newborn baby. I asked her why she was bringing up the baby. I said the only one here making noise and scaring the baby is her. And she is the kind of person who prioritizes her tantrums over her baby. I asked her if she didn't realize this was also a stupid thing to do. My sister-in-law put her crying baby down on the sofa and started to curse at me. While she continued to curse, my husband suddenly slapped her. My sister-in-law collapsed and created a big fuss, crying and screaming. He said, "Are you so insatiable that you not only wear out your mother, but also your sister-in-law? You wanted to have a baby, why do you expect your mother to take the responsibility? No matter how stupid you are, does it make sense to do this?" Her husband was just shaking, unable to believe what was happening. My husband told him, "You incompetent people can't even use contraception properly and cause trouble to your family. Is this how you live?" My husband asked my sister-in-law's husband why he was just shaking when his wife got slapped, and he just said, "Bro, I made a mistake." I wondered if there could be such a pathetic husband again. My husband told them, "Having a baby is your responsibility, so take care of it from now on. Don't come here anymore. If you do come, stay for a short while, eat a meal and go. Prepare your own meal, do the dishes and go." My sister-in-law's husband just kept shaking. So I said to him, "Answer." He was startled and said, "Yes, bro." I almost laughed at how pathetic he was. After sending them off, we waited for my in-laws and told them everything. My in-laws said we did well. My mother-in-law had been receiving acupuncture for her back for a month. It must have been because she was having a hard time because of my sister-in-law. It's been about 4 months, and it seems my sister-in-law doesn't visit my mother-in-law that much anymore. Even if she does, she only stays for a short time. I heard later that because my sister-in-law does nothing, it seems her husband had a hard time. So we tried to get close to his parents, but my sister-in-law's parents treated him coldly. My mother-in-law worries what if they divorce. My husband said, "Are you going to keep serving them until you get sick, Mom? Even if they're going to divorce, they'll divorce whether this happens or not. Just leave them be." Even though she was worried, my mother-in-law just watched. Only 2 of my close friends know about this. And I couldn't tell anyone else. I couldn't talk about it because my sister-in-law's behavior was so strange that I thought people wouldn't believe it. I don't know if my sister-in-law will change when she gets older.
It seems the sister-in-law and her husband are a match made in heaven. They must be destined to be together for 100 years, right? It looks like the author's couple did a big thing for the family. What do you all think?